Hey everyone, Jake here for American Trucks, and in this video we're taking a look at the Barricade Extreme HD modular front bumper with LED daytime running lights, skid plate, and overrider hoop, fitting 2021 to 2023 F-150s, excluding Raptor models. If lots of protection, aggressive style, and additional capability are on your wish list for a new bumper, Barricade has got you covered here with this Extreme HD modular bumper. Not only does it have some seriously aggressive style, but it also provides you with modular capabilities to fit further accessories. And it will provide you with additional protection out on the street or trail, and you get some additional lighting as well. Now there's a lot to discuss here, but let's start with the styling. Not only is this cut up much higher than your standard bumper, it also has a really aggressive look to it. Unlike a lot of other bumpers that don't really work all that well with factory styling cues, this one I think really integrates well, and it matches or even accentuates the square-jawed look these F-150s have from the factory. Now having the bumper sit up closer to the body of the truck also means that you will have a much better approach angle versus stock. So if you are doing some off-roading, that's going to be a nice benefit to have. Other things you'll appreciate if you're hitting the trail are the included overrider bar right up here and the skid plate which we have set down here. Those are going to work to extend the protection of the lower section of your grille and to the underside of the front of the engine respectively. Now since this is a heavy duty bumper as well, you're getting a lot of impact protection overall. This thing is, well, it's pretty solid. And if you're out busting down a trail, you don't need to be concerned about obstacles between the bumper, the overrider, and that skid plate. This thing can really take a beating. Now this is also modular, meaning that you've got the provisions for a winch mount and some other accessories should you want or need to accessorize the front end of your truck. You can add additional lighting right here in the center if you want to do a big LED light bar. You've got provisions on the top of the overrider bar for some additional lights as well, so you can be really well lit out on the trail. And on top of all of that, you can be sure that it's going to look good as well. And that's thanks partially to the styling, but also thanks to the included LED daytime running lights over here in the corners. Now these are two LED strips, one on either side of the bumper, which are going to help accentuate that aggressive look. Now these are designed to splice into your factory harnesses, so they're going to work seamlessly with your factory daytime running lights as well. And I think these also play really nicely with the F-150 styling, and it's certainly going to set your truck apart from the rest. And while additional fog lights are not included in this particular setup, again, you do have the ability to add those here as well. This front grille section, as we pointed out a moment ago, is large enough to accommodate a light bar or some cube lights if you want. And if you don't want to run those, you can see those grates we have over there on the other side of the table. Those will mount right inside there and keep this nice and cohesive looking all the way through. So you have the option to add those additional lights instead of a winch mount, depending on what you want to do with your truck. And that really is the beauty of the modular bumper. Now you also get provisions up here for your front parking sensors, so if your truck came so equipped, those can be ported over easily. Now Barricade also offers a matching rear bumper as well, so if you'd like a complete setup front and rear, we have those available on our site too. Construction of the bumper itself speaks to that heavy-duty part of the name. Comprised entirely of 5/32 inch steel plating, this thing is tough. The steel here is cold formed into its final shape, which means that the material hasn't been heated and subsequently weakened. The only thing that got heated on this, in fact, are the welds. Now cold forming again helps maintain that structural rigidity. This is also capped off with a two-stage finish. The first layer is an epoxy pre-coating or e-coating, and that is then covered with this texture black powder coat that you're seeing here. So this is going to provide excellent corrosion resistance and will be able to stand up to pretty much whatever you can throw at it. All the bracketry and the skid plate, the grills, all that is made from the same material as well, so it's going to be sturdy and it's going to match nicely. Now that coating is also UV resistant, so it won't fade in the sunlight, and it is about a ½ millimeter thicker than most other coatings out on the market. Now those lights we were talking about earlier, again, those are all LED, so they're going to be nice and bright, and they should have a long lifespan, just like the bumper itself. Plus, this whole setup comes with a 3-year limited warranty against any manufacturer material issues and a 1-year warranty on the finish as well, which gives you some additional peace of mind. Pricing for this setup comes in at about $975, which for a full-width modular bumper that includes some LEDs and these additional pieces like that overrider bar, that's a pretty good value for your money. It's one of the least expensive full bumpers available, but it's still a good quality item that's going to give you a lot of flexibility and a lot of protection, especially given how much you're paying. Installation for this one will get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now this is a pretty straightforward process. It is a total bolt-on replacement for your stock bumper, so there is no modification needed to the truck itself. However, I would definitely recommend having a second set of hands with you because this thing is kind of cumbersome and fitting a bumper can be difficult to do by yourself, no matter how strong you are. You also have the wiring that you need for the LEDs, so this is going to be everything you'll need to get these wired up and working properly. And honestly, running this will probably take you just a little more time than just bolting the bumper on itself. And again, if you want to put anything else on here while you're at it, that of course is going to add to your time and complexity. But either way, this is certainly a project that you can tackle at home. And to show you the process now, let's head on out to the install bay.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, an extension, an adapter if necessary, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, 15, 16, 17, and 19 millimeter sockets, 4 and 5 millimeter Allen sockets, a T30 Torx bit, 10, 13, 16, and 18 millimeter wrenches, and a clip removal tool. And also not shown here is an extra set of hands to help you set your bumper. What's up guys? Today we're going to be doing a bumper on our F-150, so let's get started. Alrighty guys, so we've got our hood open, and the first thing we're going to need to do is remove our upper shroud because we need to remove our grille and this trim as well. So we're going to grab our clip removal tool and remove all of the push pin clips holding our shroud in place. And try to keep your clips together. You're going to want to remove these two on the air dam as well. Have one more over here in the corner. And once we have all those off, we can go ahead and pop our air dam out, shroud rather, and set it aside. So now that we have our shroud off, we have access to our upper grille mounting bolts as well as our harness and connectors here that are attached to our grille. So we've got our clip removal tool here. We're going to pop this retainer clip out. Just go ahead and pop that up. Then we can unplug these three things on our grille. So for this little washer nozzle thing, just squeeze that and it'll pop right out. Our tan connector just pulls out. And our main connector here, would just push that tab in and pop that out. Then we're going to set this up back here out of the way as to not get damaged. Now we'll grab our 10 mil socket and extension on our impact and remove the 4 10 millimeter screws up here. Alrighty guys, so next we're going to have to remove this lower front trim panel that goes all the way across under our grille, and to do that we're going to need to come to our fender wells here and remove the 2 7 millimeter screws on each side holding it in place. So we've got a 7 mil socket on our ratchet here. We're going to run these two out. And then once we have those out, we're going to go ahead and grab onto the inside of this panel and just kind of pop it out of its retainer spot here. And then we'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Then we can pull the entire trim panel out. So now we'll come to the center of our trim panel here, and it just has these little retainers on the panel itself that kind of hold it in place. And what we're going to do is just give it a pull like so. That should all come out just like this. Now we can go ahead and come to our lower outer mounts for our grille here, and we're going to grab our 8 mil socket and extension on our impact and remove the 8 millimeter screws on either side of our grille. And once you have this one out, you can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. Now we're ready to remove our grille, so we're just going to go ahead and grab it right around the middle here and get a solid grip. and kind of just work it out. Pull that up and out and set it aside. So now we're gonna need to come right here behind our bumper on our frame rail on our passenger side and unplug this main harness. So we're gonna lift that clip up just like so. Go ahead and get our harness out. We may need to pull this out of its retainer to do so. Move that back. Next, we're gonna need to remove our mounting bolt covers here on our bumper. So we've got a panel removal tool. We're gonna wedge that in and pop these covers off. Now you wanna go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So now we're gonna come right behind our bumper to our frame horns here where we have our 3 21mm nuts mounting our bumper on. So we're gonna grab our 21mm socket on our ratchet and go ahead and remove these. So we're gonna fully remove the outer two and we're gonna loosen this inner one and leave it a couple threads on until we get the other side off in the same position. Then we can remove those and take our bumper off. Now we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side and then we'll remove our bumper. So now we'll go ahead and reach back and fully remove that last nut. Then we can go ahead and remove our bumper. Now this thing is a little bit heavy, so if you feel better using an extra set of hands, now's the time to grab a buddy. So now that we have our bumper off, we can go ahead and remove our factory tow hooks. So we'll grab our 15mm socket and extension on our impact and remove the 2 bolts holding it in place. Now this is held on with a 2-nut plate here, so you want to kind of halfway remove the first one and get the second one loose and then go ahead and remove both. Go ahead and pull our nut plate out. Then we can do the same thing for the other side. Alrighty guys, now that we have our bumper off, we're gonna have to take a bunch of stuff off of it in order to access our parking sensor harness as well as some other things that we need to transfer over to our new bumper. So we're gonna start by unplugging our fog lights and our active arrow at the bottom here on both sides, and then we'll start removing stuff in layers. So we're gonna start by unplugging our fog lights here. So we'll just push down on this little tab and release it and pull it out. Now before we unplug our active arrow here, we're gonna go ahead and unbolt it. It's gonna make things a lot easier getting to that connector. So it's got 3 13mm bolts holding it in. So we'll grab our 13mm socket and extension on our impact and go ahead and run these out. So we'll go ahead and pop these 3 13mm out. So we have one right back here. And we have another one down in this lower left corner. And then our final one is down here at the lower right. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side so we can get this out as one assembly. So now we'll go ahead, pull this out like so. And we can reach under here, go ahead and release our tab, and unplug that. And we'll do the same thing on the other side, and we'll go ahead and pull this out of the way just for safety's sake so we don't damage it. Next, we're gonna go ahead and unbolt our fog lights. So we have these 4 T30 Torx bolts holding it in. So we've got our T30 Torx bit and extension on our impact. We're gonna go ahead and remove these. Once we have that unbolted, go ahead and remove our fog light and set it aside. And we'll do the same thing for the other fog light. So now we're going to remove our main bumper mounting plate. So it's held on by these 13mm bolts around it. So we'll go ahead and grab our 13mm socket again and pop these off. Our bolts are out. We can move this brace up. Pop our brackets out. Now, if you do have your sensors up front here, you will need to unplug those. Go ahead and do that now. Then we can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. Alrighty guys, so now we can begin to remove our parking sensor harness, and the harness itself is held in through these clips here that are locked in around the bumper. So we'll go ahead and grab our clip removal tool and begin popping them out. There's some on the side here that may or may not be on. One's in the center here. You can just kind of come behind this lip, pop those right out like so. Make sure we're popping all of them out. You have a few of these other ones too. Once your harness is loose, we're not going to unplug the sensors. We're going to remove them from their housings. Then we're going to take this whole assembly over to our new bumper and just keep it intact. And you want to keep in mind which side of the bumper each sensor's on, so your harness and your main connector lines back up when we put the new bumper on. So now your sensors are held in by these retainers here, and to remove them is pretty simple. You're just going to flare these out, pull up on your sensor like so. Now you do want to be very careful. You don't want to damage these sensors and drop them or anything like that. That's going to turn into either a non-functioning system or a pretty expensive day. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing for all 4 sensors and go ahead and pop those out, and then we'll have our harness ready to go onto the new bumper. Alright guys, so before we get into this install, you'll notice that in this clip we already have our bumper off. Something we wanted to show you before you get into this and you're unaware of what is involved here. One thing you're going to have to do, or you will want to do, is remove these front crash bars when installing your bumper. So now, while this does not affect the actual install of the bumper, it will go on. These will be visible under the wings of the bumper, as well as your fender liner. You may want to go ahead and do some trimming. Now, the tricky part about getting these off is the bolts don't have enough clearance to come out. So you will have to cut your hardware out in order to get your crash bars off of the truck if you want that flush, sleek look. Now, we're not going to be doing this for demonstration purposes because this won't be a permanent fixture on the truck. As again, I noted, it won't affect the actual install, so the process will be the same. But if you're want to remove these or need to remove these, you're gonna have to go ahead and loosen this hardware up and cut it off with a cutting wheel or a sawzall or something like that, as well as maybe trimming your fender liner back so it kind of looks all flush and everything like that. Just something we wanted to point out before we get too involved in this install so you know exactly what's coming. Alrighty guys, so we've got our new bumper up here on the table, and the first thing we're gonna need to do is secure the foldable wings. So we're gonna grab 4 of our provided 16mm bolts with lock washers and flat washers. And we have 2 bolt slots on the inside here for each wing. We'll go ahead and get those loosely installed. So we'll go ahead and get these in here. And these 2 pivot bolts come pre-installed loosely, so we'll just need to tighten everything down now. So for these 2, we're gonna grab our 16mm socket and extension on our impact. Go ahead and tighten these down. That's gonna pull our wing straight. And once we have those 2 tight, we'll go ahead and tighten these down. So for that, we're gonna grab our 17mm socket on our ratchet and a 16mm wrench for the bolt head. Go ahead and tighten these. And then we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So now we can go ahead and install our mesh panels for the center of our bumper. So we'll grab our main mesh panel here and line it up with the mounting points, just like so. Then we're gonna grab our 2 side ones and put those in. And they're gonna line up with the mounting tabs on the front, or top and bottom rather. And then we can go ahead and install our supplied 4mm Allen head combo bolts and 10mm flange nuts. We're gonna go ahead and go to the bottom first. Now these nuts will be a little bit tricky to get on, but since they're flange nuts, if you have a closed end wrench here, you can kind of just set them in like so. Put those under your bolt and get it started that way. Then we'll grab our 4mm Allen socket on a ratchet and go ahead and just get this started. We're not going to fully tighten it down until we get all of our hardware in. So now we'll go ahead and repeat that same step for all of our mounting points, and then we'll come back and tighten everything down. So now we've got our panel sitting where we want. So we'll come back again with our 10 mil wrench and 4 mil Allen socket and tighten all of our hardware down. Now we're going to work from the center out for this bigger panel. Now we can go ahead and install our fill panel on the top front of our bumper here. Before we do that, we're going to need to remove these little rubber grommets here. Those are going to be the mounting points for our overbar, which will be installed after this. But those just simply pop out. But you want to have those open before the fill panel goes on, so you have access to your bolt holes for the overbar. So we'll go ahead and pop those off and set them aside. Then we'll go ahead, grab our fill panel, and that's going to mount up right here with the 3 smaller bolt holes. And those are going to mount with 3 of our 4mm Allen head bolts and flat washers. And for the bottom there, we're going to add in our other flat washer and 10mm lock nut. So we'll go ahead and add our flat washer and our lock nut. Then we'll go ahead and get the other 2 loosely installed and come back and tighten everything down. Now you want to just make sure that your bolt holes for your overbar are lined up with the fill panel so you have full access to those. And then we'll go ahead and grab our 4mm Allen socket and our ratchet and a 10mm wrench, and we'll tighten all these bolts down. So next we can go ahead and install our overbar, and that's going to go into the 2 larger bolt holes on each side, right where we just installed our fill panel. So we'll go ahead and get that in place, get our hardware, get everything bolted down. So we'll go ahead and get our overbar in place, get that lined up. Now if you feel like you need an extra set of hands for this part, might not be a bad idea, just to hold it in place. But you want to grab 4 of your provided 5mm Allen head bolts, lock washers, and flat washers. Go ahead and get our first one in place. And on the bottom, you're going to be installing another flat washer followed by a 13mm nut. And we'll get the rest of our hardware in. So now we'll go ahead and get all this tightened down with our 5mm Allen socket and an extension on our impact and a 13mm wrench. And once we have these tight, we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So now we've got our factory parking sensor harness up on the table, and we're going to get ready to install it, but there's a few things we need to do first. So we're going to grab our factory sensors here, and there is a rubber grommet here on the front of the sensor. We're going to need to remove that. Go ahead and just carefully pop those off. Now we're going to grab our new provided grommet here. Go ahead, pop the cover off the adhesive for that, and we're going to place that right onto the sensor. just like so. Then we're gonna grab our half moon spacers. We're gonna stick that right on the back of our sensors. Just like that. Then we're gonna go ahead and do that for all of our sensors. So now that we have our spacers and grommet on, we can go ahead and begin installing our sensors first, and we're going to get these in place and then worry about tucking our wiring and all that after. So we'll grab our sensor here. And it's kind of like the factory one, it goes down into these retainers. We'll just go ahead and pop that in, make sure it seats nice and flush. And then this also comes with a retainer cap. So go ahead, put that in place, and that'll hold your sensor nice and still. Then we'll go ahead and repeat this process for the other 3 sensor locations. All right, so now that we have our parking sensor harness in place, we're gonna go ahead and get our main mounting bolts on as well. So we've got our provided 18mm bolts and flat washers here. And what we're gonna do is come to our mounting plate. We're gonna send these through the back out here. And then we're gonna add in these plastic retainer washers to our bolts. Now these are just meant to help hold them in place for mounting purposes. So we'll go ahead and do that. There's going to be 3 on each side. We want to kind of just keep them centered in their slots here. Again, these are just loosely holding them in place. Then we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. Alrighty guys, so before we get our bumper installed, we're gonna go ahead and install our lighting harness and switch that's gonna control our lighting that's already on our bumper. So we're coming over to our battery first, and we've got our 2 connectors here, positive and negative. And before we connect these, we're gonna go ahead and pop the cover on this fuse holder here and go ahead and remove this fuse for now. This is going to keep our circuit not activated while we install everything and get everything in place. So we'll go ahead and set this somewhere we'll remember it, right there. Close that cover up for now. Then we'll go ahead and get our positive terminal installed onto the battery. We'll go ahead and lift this cover up. We're going to go ahead and pop this 11mm nut off with our 11mm socket on our ratchet. Go ahead and take this off. Then we'll go ahead and install our positive terminal. And then reinstall that nut. And tighten that back down. Then we'll go ahead and do the same thing for our negative terminal, but we will need to swap out to our 10mm socket. And we'll tighten that one back down as well. Now this does come with a relayed switch, and it does come with a little mounting tab here. If you choose to drill it and mount it somewhere, you can absolutely do that. We're gonna go ahead and leave ours out for demonstration purposes, but we will kind of show you a general route, which is good for tucking in your wiring and keeping it secure and out of the way of any moving or hot parts. So now that we've got this installed, we'll go ahead and drop our connectors down towards where they're going to need to be, as well as run our switch over and through our firewall into our cab. So now we'll go ahead and grab our passenger side connector. These are equal length, so it doesn't really matter which one goes on the driver or passenger side. We're going to go ahead and take this. Now these have plenty of length to them. So we'll go ahead and just kind of tuck this back here. There's a little opening behind where your grill and everything is going to go back in. That's just going to keep everything kind of out of the way, but still have access to that. I'm just going to drop that down all the way for now. And we're going to keep this like this for now, and then we'll go ahead and drop our other side down, and we'll clean all this wiring up once everything is plugged in and we know how much wire we can take back in. So now we've got our driver's side connector, and for this one, then we're going to tuck this back beside our headlight and back behind where the grill is going to mount. Then we're also going to tuck it under our little air duct here. And between this and the shroud that goes up top, that's going to cover up this section of wiring pretty well. Then we also have our switch here, which we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to tuck it right under this air duct. It has plenty of length. And again, we're just going to utilize that factory shroud to kind of hide our wiring. And we're going to bring this around our air box. And then how we're going to pass it through our firewall is going to be a grommet located on the firewall right next to our brake booster. All right, so we've got our switch in our hand, and we're going to locate this grommet here. Now, if you come right beside your brake booster and kind of under your cowl here, it's going to be right back on your firewall, and you'll be able to feel it. You just kind of want to grab it and pop it out of its seat like so. And we're going to take our switch. We're going to pass that through our firewall into our cab. We're going to feed as much as we can in there first. Then once we have that fed through, we'll go into our cab and get our switch mounted up. So now we're coming into our cab here, and we're going to locate our switch, which if you look at your parking brake lever here and your OBD2 sensor, you're pretty much going to follow that straight back, and you should see your switch hanging there in your footwell. So what we're going to do is bring ours up. Now you can kind of choose where you want to mount this, but it does have an adhesive backing to it. So we'll just go ahead and pull the cover off, and to make ours nice and simple, we're going to run ours right next to our parking brake lever here and stick that in position like so. And it just has a simple on and off function. So now we're going to go ahead and reinstall our grille and front trim panel before we install our bumper. We'll go ahead and get this up into place. We'll go ahead and line this up and set that back on just like so. As you can see, this doesn't interfere with any of our wiring here or anything like that. And it kind of tucks that whole section in as well as the other part. Now we can go ahead and bolt our grill back into place using our 8mm socket and extension on our impact. We'll get our two lower 8mm bolts in. Then we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So now we'll go ahead and reinstall our four 10mm screws up top with our 10mm socket and extension on our impact. And once we have those back in place, we'll go ahead and reconnect everything up here at the top of our grill. We'll get our little washer nozzle thing that just clips back in. Our little tan connector here just clips back in, as well as our front connector here. And we'll go ahead and reinstall that little retainer clip right there. Now we're going to leave our shroud off for now, again as a reference for the wiring to make sure we have enough down there and if we need to pull any back up through. So now we can go ahead and get our front trim panel back in place. So we're going to line this up centered with our grill. We'll go ahead and push our middle retainers back into place like so, and then we'll get our sides put back together. Now we can go ahead and get the sides of our trim panel back into place. So what we're going to do is kind of pull this out just a hair, and then we'll push in right around the center of our headlight. That's going to get our panel back into place. and we'll go ahead and reinstall the two 7mm screws on each side, holding them in. So again, we've got our 7mm socket on our ratchet. We'll go ahead and put these on. Now that you have this side done, you can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. Alrighty guys, so we have our truck up on the lift. Now this is not required to install this bumper here. We're just gonna give you a better look at how to do it. It's much easier to do so with it on the lift. Again, this is completely attainable on the ground. We're gonna go ahead and grab an extra set of hands, and what we're gonna do is line up those 3 bolts that we put into each of our mounting plates with the 3 mounting holes on our frame horns, and then we'll install our flat washers and lock nuts on the back side of that. Then we'll get everything plugged in and tucked in down here, and then we'll go back up top and take care of all the wiring. Alrighty guys, so now I've gone ahead and grabbed a buddy, and we'll get this bumper lined up into our mounting points on our frame horns and get our flat washers and lock nuts installed on the back side, and then we'll come back and tighten everything down. Alright guys, so now we'll come underneath our bumper here and we'll grab our 18mm wrench and our 19mm socket on our ratchet and go ahead and tighten these down. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. All right, so now that we have our bumper bolted on, we can go ahead and start plugging stuff in, and we're gonna start with our main harness connector here. Now, I do wanna advise you to exercise caution when plugging this back in because there are a lot of very thin pins on this connector, and you do not wanna damage any of them. So you wanna go ahead and get your bumper side lined up with your body side. And then once we get it set in place, we'll go ahead and pull our latch in and it'll lock it in place. Go ahead and make sure that's locked all the way down, and then you can set it back onto your frame with that push clip that it has on it, and go ahead and set that back into place. Now we'll go ahead and plug in our light connector here with that harness connector that we installed earlier. Go ahead and line that up. Make sure that snaps into place. And then we'll do the same thing for the other side. All right, so you may notice we have a couple connectors here on our factory parking sensor harness that are not being used anymore. One, you are deleting your active aerodynamic system at the bottom of your factory bumper when installing this bumper. Now, not to worry, this will not cause a check engine light or anything like that if it is unplugged. It's totally fine. Just so you're aware, that will not be going onto the new bumper. As well as your factory fog light connector will also no longer be used. So we can go ahead and take all of this wiring, and we're gonna tuck it up out of the way. Now this, again, is something you can do as your own, make it your own style, kind of tuck it and clean it up however you want. We're gonna kind of group all of this wiring together, and we're gonna use some zip ties to just hold it up out of the way. Nice and simple, keeps it away from being caught on anything on the road or your wheels or any other moving parts or pieces of ground you may be rolling over also. So now we'll go ahead and get this tucked up out of the way. Now there is a slot at the bottom of the bumper here. You can kind of tuck this part of the harness in. We're gonna bring the rest of this up. I'm gonna set it up here for now, as well as the excess wiring from our new lighting. Now you don't want to fold or crease any of your wires. You just want to kind of get them bundled together in a way that they're going to be out of the way. Then we'll go ahead and use a zip tie. Now these are not included, but it's always good to have some. We'll go ahead and secure this up out of the way. All right, so now that we've got this side tucked up out of the way, we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So next we can go ahead and reinstall our factory tow hooks. Now these are pretty much going to be flush with the new bumper, but they're still going to be usable unless you want to get some drop down ones or something like that. These are still functional. So we're going to grab that double nut plate, slide that back up into our frame horn, we'll line that up with our bolt holes here, and we'll go ahead and get our first one back into place. So we've got our factory bolt here in our front mounting hole. I'm just going to go ahead and line that up and get it started. Then we can go ahead and get our second one on. Then we'll go ahead and get our other one loosely installed and come back with our 15 mil socket on our impact and tighten these down. So now we'll go ahead and tighten these down. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. So now we can go ahead and get our tag bracket installed. So we've got our bracket here, and we've got two of our provided 4mm Allen head bolts and flat washers. So we'll get one in first. It's pretty easy to do it this way. Line that up. And we'll go ahead and install our flat washer and our 10mm lock nut on the back side. Now that we've got this one loosely in place, we'll go ahead and get the other one on as well. Now we'll go ahead and tighten this down with our 4mm Allen socket and extension on our impact and a 10mm wrench. So now that we have our tag bracket on, we can go ahead and pop in our threaded inserts. These are going to provide you with the ability to mount a tag if you need to or are required to by your state, or any other tag you want to do. So now we're going to get ready to install our skid plate. Now what we need to do for that is come under here to our main cross member and remove these two 15mm bolts for our factory little skid plate here. So we'll grab our 15 mil socket and extension on our impact and pop these off. And it'll just hang down there just like so. So now we're gonna go ahead and pop this little factory skid plate off. It's just got this little hook here, keeps it in place. So we'll just pull it forward. We can set that down for a minute. And we've got our new front skid plate, and we're gonna line it up with these 4 mounting holes here, and it has these threaded nuts welded to the skid plate itself. So we're gonna go ahead and get that in place. Then we're gonna get 2 of our bolts in. We've got 2 provided 13mm bolts with lock washers and flat washers. We'll go ahead and get those loosely installed. So now with these 2 loosely in place, that'll hold it, and we'll get the other 2 in here, and then we'll go ahead and get the rear of it buttoned up. Now we'll go ahead and grab our little factory skid plate here. We're gonna send that hook through the opening at the back of our new skid plate. We'll go ahead and hook that back into position, like so. So we'll go ahead and get our bolt holes lined up and reuse our factory 15mm bolts to mount this back in place. And we'll go ahead and tighten these two down, and we'll move back up front and tighten our front four down. So again, we'll use our 15mm socket and extension on our impact to tighten these two back down. Then we'll grab our 13mm socket on our impact to tighten the front ones down. Now we're back up to our engine bay. We're going to reinstall that fuse we took out of our harness we added in. Go ahead and pop this right back in. Place that cover. Then we'll go ahead, and our wires are pretty much out of the way. Again, you can do whatever you want with this to tuck everything and kind of clean it up. This is just simply for demonstration purposes. We're gonna go ahead and install the shroud, and that's gonna cover the majority of our wiring here. We'll go ahead and lift up on our air duct. Get our shroud back into place here. Line everything back up. And we'll go ahead and reinstall all the push clips holding our shroud in place. So this bumper has provisions for up to 6 parking sensors, and since our factory harness only has 4, we're going to go ahead and use the caps to cover the end holes here. Now, you are provided with enough caps to cover all of the sensor holes if you don't have parking sensors at all. So you would simply just pop these into place. And we'll go ahead and do the same for the other end one. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our Barricade Extreme HD modular front bumper with LED DRL, skid plate, and overrider hoop for your 21 to 23 F-150 excluding the Raptor. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.